Hello, ambitious professionals, and welcome back to another episode of the Divinely Empowered Media Show. And today we're talking about 5 expert tips on how to build a bold personal brand. Many of you are destined for greatness. You are called to be leaders. You're called to make impactful changes in the world for God's glory. But this is your time to position yourself. And so whether you just started your business, or maybe you're taking baby steps, or you're a soccer mom, or you're a soccer dad, and now you're merging into a new chapter of your life where your presence is so important. You are getting a lot of speaking advice, or maybe you want those opportunities. You're going to do your Facebook ads. You want to start going out and networking and getting to know people in your community so your business can be known and established. This is the place to be right now. You do not want to miss out on these tips that I'm going to share with you. So grab your notebook, grab your pen, and let's dive into this topic because it's going to be so helpful to you. God wants us to position ourselves. When God calls you for greatness, this is not a time for you to sit down and be like, okay, well, I'm called for greatness. I'll just wait. God, it'll happen. It'll happen when it happens. No, you have to begin to position yourself. And a lot of times, I notice with entrepreneurs, when they're starting off in business, they're doing everything. They're doing the websites, they're getting their business cards on point, and they're doing all of those basic things, which is necessary and very much needed. It's good to have a good website. It's important to have your business card. So if you're, talking to people and they ask you about your business, you have a business card to pass out to them. That's great, but they forget about another important aspect, and that is how they dress. And, a lot of times people are like, especially with technology and AI and everything just advancing in this modern culture, people are like, well, I get to work from home. I get to, sit down or stay on my couch and be on the laptop and so forth. But this even goes for your online presence. How are you showing up for your virtual meetings? How are you showing up for your networking events? So I was recently working with a client. She is now stepping into the CEO role. And she said that her soccer mom days is coming to a swift end because her daughter is getting older. Her daughter is getting ready to graduate. And so she is now running her company, and she has a team, and she is stepping into a new chapter of her life. And so we're working together to take her wardrobe to the next level. And so she took me on a tour into her closet, and I told her, I need proof that everything that I'm telling you to remove from your closet is being thrown out. So she went to her husband, and she's like, you know what? I'll have my husband keep me accountable. And I said, okay, no problem. And so the husband's like, I'll try. And I said, I'm going to still need a photo. So she took a photo of her husband holding the trash bags with all the clothes that doesn't need to be in her closet anymore. Why? Because we're branding her closet. We're branding her wardrobe. And so I'm really excited about this. So number one, the way to build a bold personal brand is to dress for the brand you represent. So she's remodeling her website. Her and her husband are doing business together, and they're remodeling the website, and she sees in which she wants to show up. She's the face of the brand. She wants to show up, and she's going to be doing a professional photo shoot. Everything from the right colors to the right outfit. She's a tech guru, so she's very much into technology. That's what her company does. And so she sees in which she wants her image and her outfits. When people go on her website or go on her social media or go on her LinkedIn, everything complements her brand. So wear clothes that align with the message and values of your personal or business brand. Your wardrobe should speak before you say a word. I always say this when you're attending these networking events, when you're entering into these spaces, entering into these rooms, you do not know who you're going to be amongst. CEOs, collaborators, potential prospects. You don't know who is going to be your next client. So you always want to make sure that before you hand that business card, before you stand up to give your 30-second elevator pitch, you already have that presentation that's speaking for you as well. I always say this to folks. Your style is your silent ambassador. It's already doing the pitch for you. It's already signaling a message. And so do you want folks who see you for the first time to be like, maybe not someone to take seriously? This is what's going to attract. The way you dress and the way you carry yourself is a magnet. And it will begin to attract the right opportunities and the right people. Now, once that takes place, now the conversation can begin to take place and people can get to know your personality and what you stand for and all that good stuff. And then that's where connection can build. Number 2, choose colors that communicate. So I'm really big on this. So when I was working with my client, we went through the color analysis. We sat down and I was able to help her to identify what colors looks best on her. And her closet's filled with nothing but neutrals, blacks, grays, nudes, but she's lacking color. And I noticed with her website, she has a lot of vibrant colors. And I'm like, we need to implement some color into your closet. What is your brand colors? Is your brand colors yellow? Is it blue? Is it green? Is it pink? My brand colors, and obviously I have 2 companies that I'm running, but my brand colors for Divinely Empowered Media is yellow, but also with Anastasia Styling, it's pink. So I get to do either one of the colors. Today I felt like wearing pink. I'm a pink girl, so I'm wearing the pink. But if I feel like doing gold or yellow, I will do that too. But what are your brand colors? What do you feel most confident in? I feel really good in pink. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a very powerful woman in pink and very happy. What colors make you happy? What colors make you feel confident? And so, a lot of times, women especially, if their brand colors is green or yellow, or maybe it's a mixture of both, they have more options to work with. So they can implement those colors into their shoes, into their nails, into their handbags, into a suit, so that's what I want you to think about. How are you communicating with the colors that you wear? Believe it or not, when you show up on these Zoom meetings, if you're someone that's always attending virtual networking events and you're always online, your online presence is so important. And you wouldn't believe the fashion mishaps I see time after time when I'm jumping on these virtual networking events. And it's like, even if you are sitting home comfortable in your pajamas and you're jumping on these events, still put yourself together, because whether you like it or not, it's still a professional environment. Yes, it's virtual and you're like, oh, well, I'm not in person, so what's the point of dressing up? No, I've seen women countless times jump on these virtual networking events with their sloppy ponytails. And it's like, we're not doing that. And so when I'm talking to my clients, I always stress to them, you want to make sure you're setting that first impression from the very get-go, even when you're online. So everything from the colors that you wear, when you're wearing these colors online, especially when you're wearing colors that complement your complexion, it does something for the presence. Like, you stick out, you stand out. I get this all the time, and I'm not boasting, but I'm someone that practices what I preach. But like, I'll pop on, even though green is not part of my brand color, people know of me of someone that wears blazers and sophisticated pieces. So I grabbed a green blazer. I was like, I feel like wearing green today. So keep in mind, I don't want you to be restricted. If your brand colors are purple and blue, your closet doesn't need to be filled up with a whole bunch of purple and blue clothes. But it's good to have a few of those staples in your closet, those staple colors in your closet. But I mean, if you feel like wearing a different color, but people know you as someone that's always sharp, you're always well put together, then that's all that really matters. So I popped up on this virtual networking event with this green blazer, and people know me for my bold lipstick. So I rocked my signature lip color. And so you have other women in the room. Once the breakout room takes place, so, we're going into the breakout rooms. Some of these women would tell me, they're like, hey, Anastasia, I had to wrote your name down because like I wanted to talk to you, because I'm like, you just stand out, so you're going to notice, you're going to stand out. People are going to just notice you. They're going to check out the virtual space and they'll be like, And so change your mindset. Like, oh, it doesn't really matter. It's about my personality. Change your mindset, because when you are in a leadership position, or when God is preparing you for leadership, you cannot have a low mentality. You can't have a poor mentality. You can't have a mindset that thinks so little and settles just for whatever. You have to have a leadership mindset. Like, okay, I am positioning a success-driven mindset. I got to position myself for success. I don't want to miss any opportunity that comes my way. That's how leaders think. That's how leaders roll. That's how they move. Okay. So colors do communicate. And when you're wearing those bold colors online, sometimes it shifts the mood, because sometimes people will jump on these virtual networking events probably tired or wearied, or maybe they just finished taking care of the kids or cooking dinner. And they're like, let me just do a little networking, and they're probably tired or whatever. But you just showing up in that bold color, it sets the tone. It's like you're automatically shifting the atmosphere. You know what I mean? So number 3, invest in a signature look. So my closet's filled with a lot of sheath dresses, a lot of pencil skirts. I want you to find a signature look for you, whether you are male or female. For the gentlemen, I want to talk about this real fast because some of you men may struggle in this area. You know, I was having this conversation with a woman. She was talking about her husband, and she showed me a picture of her husband, and she said, if her husband's not in a suit, he doesn't really know what else to wear, you know? And I think with us as women, we have so much options. You know, if we decided that we want to wear a power suit one day, and maybe we want to lean towards a little black dress and some heels, we have options. But a lot of times with men, sometimes men will have this issue where maybe they're so used to the suit and tie, and then when they finally come out of the suit and tie, it's like chino shorts and flip-flops and a tee. You know what I mean? And it's like the men need help. So for you gentlemen who may not have a specific signature look, maybe the suit is all you know. You wear your suit to church, you wear your suit to the office, and that's all you know. That is great. But I also want you to think out the box and have some sharp pieces for like casual days or dinner nights. Like maybe you have those evening outs or those galas, you know, being able to know how to dress up a pair of trousers with a nice button-down shirt and some clean, nice sneakers. Or I want you to be able to have options. Now, another great way to implement a signature or a color into your wardrobe is with your tie and your socks. So anytime I go to this particular networking event, there's this gentleman that stands out to me a lot. He's always in a suit, but there's a lot of other guys in their suit, but with him, he does things differently with his suit to make him stand out. And I notice what he does, he matches his socks with his tie. So if he's like wearing a pink tie, he has socks that have like a hint of pink in there. I'm like, wow, that's creative. You know what I mean? So I want you to think out the box and not be so traditional like everybody else. Like, okay, here's a suit, navy blazer, navy tie, white collar shirt. You know, have fun even with your shoes, for crying out loud, or do a funky printed tie. You know what I mean? But have fun with your style and get out the box. So the signature look is important. So create a style, whether it's a power color, a bold accessory, or a polished silhouette. You want someone to remember you. Like, okay, I remember that gentleman. He always wears like these really colorful ties. Or I remember that woman. She always has, you know, these really nice statement pumps. You know, create that signature style. Or I remember that girl. She always wear pink lipstick. You know, what makes you stand out in that room? What makes you different from everyone else? And that's really important. That's how you're going to create that signature. So if you love your suits, that's great. But I also want the men to have a versatile wardrobe. So even if you're not in the office or you're not networking, if people were to catch you on a regular day, you still look sharp. You have a nice collared shirt. You have nice, clean, tailored jeans. You know, some comfortable polished dress shoes, a nice statement watch, you know, Apple Watch or Rolex watch. You know, your hair is trimmed nicely, you smell good, you have this cologne. Anytime you walk past people, they always remember you. You always smell good, you know. So create that signature, men and women. There is no limitation. Number 4, elevate your online presence. So this is a killer. This is a killer, especially for those who are bloomers. And they're like, oh, I remember when I was younger, we used to just knock on doors and give the business cards, and that's great. Awesome, awesome. But we got to move with technology. We got to move with the pace. And I'm not saying that every trend you need to follow, but as an entrepreneur, it's important that you are following what's going, like AI or social media, like what is popping? Like these are the things you need to be actively involved in. And so when I went to this other networking event, I was speaking to this gentleman and he was saying that he's partnered up with a young lady because she's good with the social media because he's like, I'm old. He's like, I'm old. And I let them take care of the social media aspect because he wants his company to still be current. And social media is where it is. It's not everything. But one thing that I've learned during my starting point in business is that people fail to realize that the first thing people go to, especially, you know, if you're out of the workplace, you're out of the 9 to 5, your social media is your resume. And this coach was bringing this to my attention and to the rest of the folks that were there. in regards to advertising, because one of the ladies in the workshop was asking, is it necessary to advertise, or should we just focus on organic reach and just posting and posting and posting? And she's like, advertising is so important. And one of the things that she said that stood out to me, and I'm like, man, this makes so much sense, is that your Instagram or wherever you're most active on is your resume. When people are searching, just like with Google, people need an answer, they go straight to Google and do their research. When people want to know about your business and they want to know if you're someone that's legit, or someone that if you're someone that they want to do business with, they go and research you. They go and look on that LinkedIn, they go and look on that Instagram. And so when I'm having conversations with these professionals and I hear their insights about them hiring students from college and, trying to look for, people to hire in their marketing team and so forth, they told me that they would go on their Instagram and check out their Instagram. And so they see these girls, they're hungover, they're wearing skimpy clothes, all that type of stuff. And it's a huge turnoff for them. And they're like, man, the LinkedIn profile looks really good, or the resume that they sent in was awesome, but their social media is disastrous. Your online presence as an entrepreneur is so important. Make sure you're tailoring your presence. I did a speech a few days ago. I was invited to speak about personal branding. And honestly, I thought it was a privilege, but I said to the audience, I said to them, like, who you are online, you need to be that same person offline. And I realized that a lot of people on social media, they put on a show, and then when you meet them in person, they're nothing like that. You know what I mean? Be authentic. That's another thing I want to stress. Be authentic, be true to yourself. But make sure your online presence is corresponding with your brand. And people don't realize how important your online presence is. Professional photos, the colors that you choose, everything, all of that, those are all necessities. It's all needed so that when people jump online, because that's a crowd that you don't want to miss out on. So for those of you who are always in person, working with your clients in person, you don't want to miss out on the online crowd too, because you never know who may just click that link in the bio or head over to your website and said, man, I've been following this man or following this woman, following their journey, and I just love their quotes, or I love their tips that they share. Another thing I want to talk about is value. With this fast-paced society and how things are changing rapidly, especially in the social sphere, a lot of times people feel like if they're not dancing in front of a camera, there's no point of posting anything. But value, these things will always be evergreen. When you take the time to put an effort and share with people valuable information, content that they can use in their life, things that are educational, those things are evergreen. And the right people, and notice I said the right people, because that's what it's all about. You're not trying to just attract any and anybody, like for the sake of likes and the sake of following. You're trying to attract the right people, the right opportunities. And so when people are jumping on my social media, I'm like, okay, if you love it, thank you. Give it a like. If you don't like it, then get off my page and go somewhere else. You're not trying to cater to every and anybody. You have to know who your target audience is. You got to know who do you want to serve. I already have it in my mind what kind of woman and what kind of man I want to serve, who I want to provide my services for. So, and these folks, they're quality people. They don't waste time. They're success driven. They love information. They're always educating themselves. They're reading books. These are the kind of people that I want to attract and that I'm focused on attracting. Those that are just on social media for the entertainment's sake, you're not going to catch me dancing in front of a camera. I'm sorry. So if you don't like my content, that's too bad, right? But a lot of times people get so desperate. They get so desperate because the algorithm is changing. And they're like, oh my gosh, I only got 5 likes. Oh my gosh, I only got 10 likes. Oh my gosh, my video only got 100 views. Stop paying attention to that. Focus on the quality. If you're sharing quality and those 5 people took the time to like it, comment on it, within those 5 people, probably 1 will become a client. Or 1 will subscribe to your newsletter. Or 1 will purchase your book. Share that content, share value, and never stop sharing value. When you're showing up online, and this is another tip I want to share. Because a lot of times when people are doing their lives or their videos, they're like, I'm just going to show up as I am because, I want people to know that I'm relatable, that I'm a relatable person. Okay. So they show up and their hair is in a hot mess. Okay. And, they're in their t-shirt, they're like lounging on their couch and they're like, hey guys, here I am. And, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about my workshop that I'm going to be having next week. What's up? What's up? And it's like, no, we're not going to do that. Poor mistake. XXXX. Don't ever do that. Don't be grabbing your phone and showing up in any way. Professionalism doesn't only belong in the office or at networking events or in person. The same professionalism needs to take place online as well. Before you turn on that camera and go live, fix your hair, put on a collar shirt, wash your face, put on a little makeup or a little lipstick, or just make sure your face looks clean and tidy, put on something nice, and go on that camera. And show up, not just for yourself, but show up for those who you're called to serve. Let them know that I'm someone that's trustworthy. As I'm speaking about kingdom entrepreneurs right now, God brought to my attention recently about kingdom dressing. We serve the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He is royalty. He became poor so that we may become rich. Do you understand this? So if you are someone that belongs to Christ, this is not a time for you to be walking around like as if you don't. He loves you and he wants nothing but the best for you. And he said not even Solomon and all his array was dressed like the field. So if you see all these beautiful flowers during the spring season, if you can see how Esther, she went from being a poor orphan to being queen, dressed in all her royalty. The slaves in Egypt, the Israelites, all of their hard work and slavery, God blessed them to have gold, money, everything. Joseph was in the prison. He was in the pit first, then he was in the prison, then he ended up in the palace. And God blessed him with a gold ring. His brothers didn't recognize him. When God is elevating you, everything about you shifts. It's a straight up truth. You look like him. He's a wealthy God, and people go around like, oh, I'm serving a poor God, so here we go. No, you show up like royalty. You look like royalty. You dress like royalty because you're part of his royalty. You think King David was dressing like the shepherd in the field? No. When God elevated King David, when King David officially got into that palace, his whole dress code changed. Now a crown was on his head. He's wearing silk. He's wearing scarlet. He was well dressed to the next level. The Proverbs 31 woman. Now, it doesn't really talk too much about her physical appearance or beauty, but it talks about how she's dressed, how she clothes her family with silk and scarlet. So if you really look into the word of God within itself, it even talks about how God dresses his people. So your personal brand is so important. In this generation that we're living in, and my biggest goal in this time as an entrepreneur and as a leader is to shift, to make a shift in various industries. The woman that I'm working with, she's in the technology industry. But even then, when we're having our conversations, I say to her that you are going to be inspiring these young women and these young men. Because the college students of today that are graduating, they don't have any guidance. I was speaking to a photographer and she does photography for weddings. And, she has students, college students that will come on the field with her and help her take the photos. And she said, there's this one girl that decided to come in ripped jeans for a wedding. And she's like, she tries her best to respect the environment and she takes it up. Even though she's wearing her sneakers and stuff, she tries to dress up a little bit as a professional. But the young lady came with super ripped jeans. Like you could see all her legs. Ripped jeans is becoming this popular thing that I don't know. I just think it's ugly. I don't see anything cute about it. I say stick to the regular jeans and a nice top. But this is what these young people are wearing and even older folks. You got to know how to present yourself for different occasions. And a lot of times these same young people, they're wearing the ripped jeans to interviews. They wear it with their friends and they wear it to the interviews. And it's like, oh my goodness. But they have no one to set an example for them. So if you're thinking about stepping into this leadership role that God has called you, you have a major responsibility. The word of God said, to whom much is given, much is required. Don't think that it's enough to just be successful and have a lot of money in your bank account. You need to also be dressed the part. People need to see you and respect you. People look up to Beyonce, they look up to Rihanna, and these are the folks that are carrying these fashion trends. And so these young people feel like, okay, well, my mommy's dressed like that because my mommy looks up to Beyonce and looks up to Rihanna, so I can dress like that too. And so they have no examples. They have no role models to say, this is how a woman should carry herself. This is how a man should carry himself, right? So I'm sharing this value with you because I want you to be that leader, to go out there and not just share value with your words, but share value with your integrity and how you dress. So elevate your online presence. I want you to look at your social media. What does it look like? Is it branded? Are you showing up professionally? Do you have photos that speak success? Do you have photos that say, I am a person that, sticks to my word? I'm someone that can be taken seriously. I'm someone worth doing business with. What is your social media or online presence like? When people jump onto your website, do they feel like, oh my gosh, man, this is someone I definitely want to work with? All of these things speak. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you haven't updated your headshot lately, it's time for you to update your headshot. If you haven't updated your wardrobe lately, you're wearing the same clothes from 2001. And don't get me wrong, there's some pieces that last a lifetime. If you still have those staple pieces that you invested thousands of dollars into, that's perfectly fine. Keep them in your wardrobe. But all I'm simply saying that when you're entering into a new season, a new chapter, the version of yourself is shifting and changing as well. That person that you was last year or 2 years ago, you're not that same person. So obviously your wardrobe is going to upgrade, right? A lot of times when people become successful, they change their cars. They even move into a new home. So things begin to change. And that's how God is too. God will relocate you. He will begin to change your atmosphere. When God elevates his people, he takes things to the next level. And I love that about him. Lastly, number 5, book a professional headshot session. So as I was talking about that, here we go. Number 5. I try to change out my headshots every year or 2 years, depending how much I love that one particular photo. But it's good to change up your photos and keep things current. If you don't look like that anymore, update your headshot. Keep things fresh, and that's basically what I want you to keep in mind, okay? So once again, these are the 5 tips to build a bold personal brand. Number 1, dress for the brand you represent. Number 2, choose colors that communicate. Number 3, invest in a signature look. Number 4, elevate your online presence. Don't take your online presence for granted. You never know who can be your client. And lastly, book a professional headshot session. Make sure you're refreshing your photos. If your photos are old and dragged down, it's time for you to change it and get a brand new one, okay? So I hope you guys found these tips helpful, and I hope you put them to practice, because once again, you are destined for greatness, and God wants more for his people, okay? Now, here at Divinely Empowered Media, as always, I'm all about spotlighting kingdom entrepreneurs. Do you have a story? A story that can change lives. Do you have a small business that you want to bring more exposure to? We are in the homes of 100,000 viewers here on CBN. So everything from being a guest on my show to being spotlighted in my magazine or the front cover, or being featured on our podcast. We have many opportunities for you to shine. So head over to our website at www.divinelyempoweredmedia.com for more information. And once again, we are here to help you to shine. We're here to help you to grow. And so do not hesitate to reach out, okay? So thank you again. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will be seeing you very soon. Take care.